Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another thing where I talk about the things that I think about, and presumably you like to hear me do that, because otherwise you wouldn't tune in. You would simply not show up. So, today we're talking about a couple things. Actually, I've been a little bit behind schedule. I've had to pick up some extra hours at work. Like I said, we had some financial stuff going on, and viewership is dropping off a bit. What we're bringing in with other videos is not matching what we're losing as we lose the pony audience as we do less pony videos, and so we're not like replacing our audience. So we are on a downturn, unfortunately, and on top of everything else, so I've just had to pick up some more hours at work and take care of that. But it is not all bad news. We continue on projects. We have all the recording done for the next Rainbow Dash Presents. Peterup, we got like 4 minutes, 6 minutes, something. Peterup says he's going to try and get it done by the end of this month, no later than. After that, he's got to go to Vancouver, so that's kind of like, that's the earliest he's trying for, or that is the latest he's trying for. But we might have it up sooner. That would be really great. Although, who knows? It's hard to say, but when Peterup gets it to me, though, I'll go ahead and I'll finish it up. And we'll make some big announcements, and we'll be like, oh, it's coming. It's finally coming for real, guys. We actually know for sure it's coming now. As opposed to just random, ballpark estimates of like, I guess it could take this long. So yes, Rainbow Dash Presents. It is coming up. We are working on it. The Mentally Advanced series, I don't know, it just comes to a standstill sometimes. Some of the guys were saying like, why don't you release that lost episode or what you have of it? Wouldn't that be fun? And I might do that. I may do that later on down the road. Maybe not. I don't know. But pony stuff. That is the pony news. Pony news. In other news, though, we've been thinking about doing different things. And a long time ago, we talked about doing a game. And the official title for it now is Cornish Game Hen Quest. And what we're doing is we're putting together a simple RPG game using RPG Maker 2003. It's open source. You can download it. You can work with it. No matter who you are, I think you can use it on any OS, as far as I'm aware. I don't know, maybe it doesn't work on Linux, but Linux, you never know. It depends on whether or not people have an interest in making it work on Linux. But in any case, though, we are looking for pixel artists is what we want. Sprite artists, people who can make some stuff for us. We are actually going to go on and we're going to make this regardless. But I've talked to a couple of the guys, and some people are kind of looking at some different things, and we're just getting some like drafting products put together. So like we need, say, like a swamp tile set. So someone's just like, I'll just draft a swamp tile set, and it's going to be functional but not pretty. So we're looking for someone who wants to help us out with just some pixel art. They want to make some pretty tile sets or some pretty battle characters or what have you. That sort of thing. If you guys want to help us out with that, send us an email at contact@donsomewhere.com. I'll send you an email back, and we'll figure out. I'll have you draw me a giant alligator. Is one of the things that I'm looking for. Either that or just other little deals. If we get like a large enough group, then we'll probably just have a bunch of people doing different projects, and maybe get like one person to touch up all the various different forms of art, so that they kind of blend together and have a theme that kind of matches. And that's something I think that's commonly done in animation. So this is not a project thing where I'm like, calling all people, I want everyone to just show up, and I expect you as a crowd to just, from the dust, cause a product that I've envisioned to materialize out of thin air. We actually know the logistics of it. I have experience with RPG Maker 2003. As I say, it is a very simple product. I'll be producing the background music for it and also doing the scripting. Alan is involved as well. We had notes for it, but we lost them. It's a very silly concept. We'd kind of like to see it executed in practice. But it'll be something that we just kind of work on gradually as I find time, like in the evenings and whatnot, when I've got spare time. Because I kind of enjoy it. It's one of those things, like a lot of my hobbies is stuff like, making music would be fun, and I just started, I'll just start making music, and or mixing music, and same thing. The RPG Maker was an old hobby that I really enjoyed, and I just kind of quit doing it. I'm like, I would really like to do it again, so I'm just going to be doing it again, and but that's for fun. And but if I could get some sprite artists, then we could release it, and then it would be a public thing. And what's nice about the Game Maker files is that everyone can play them. The files are open source, and of course when we release it, it'll also come with all the resources that we designed, including the music and all the rest of that. So it will be good for those people who are into that kind of thing. So, let's talk about the topic of the day, leadership. I said that I would discuss this. We had not too long ago, before I went on vacation, a big thing that happened on like 4chan where somebody released some conversations between the moderators there, and it turned out that the moderators are all like misanthropic kind of individuals that don't really seem to like people as much as you would think that you would in a people-oriented job. They were like customer service agents that hate people. Is kind of what this stuff revealed. Is they were like, oh, who cares about the creative people? You know, we ban one, and they're like tissue paper. You just pull out another one just pops out in its place, and that kind of outraged a lot of people. And it was one of those things. It wasn't like a surprising mentality. No one was shocked to find that the 4chan moderating staff behaved that way. And if you ask me, it's probably one of those reasons, like stuff like that. When Moot talks about the guy who owns 4chan, when he talks about that's not really, it's not really profitable and whatnot. It's stuff like that where I feel like sometimes he's kind of missing his opportunities because he doesn't really get like crowds, or like large groups of people kind of act in certain ways, and he kind of doesn't like, there's like no control, and then he brings in people who sort of have no control. And so in that regard, I thought it would be kind of interesting to talk about like why is that? Why do I believe that is? And large groups, like on 4chan, large groups are very difficult to control, especially if you were to try to say like change things. Like if you were to say, oh Greg, why don't you be a moderator? And I got on there would be a very long period where doing things the way that I think was right would probably still meet a lot of resistance. Like I would show up and I would be like, hey guys, these are the rules, and have a very polite touch about it, and people would still, like, they would fight with me because they're used to fighting with the mods. That's all that they do anymore, is because the mods have been antagonistic for the longest time. And people get banned and people get punished, and they don't like it, and they don't like it when punishment comes down from on high. With no chance to talk or negotiate or like, get a fair treatment or anything like that. So it's one of those things, like it wouldn't be something that you would just fix overnight. You wouldn't be like, oh, I just hired new staff. It would be something that you'd have to work, excuse me, it'd be something you have to work on, and like you just have to spend a lot of time figuring it out. But in any case, though, where I think that they really go wrong is that they don't understand the difference between like power and authority and leadership. I think that maybe 4chan is the way it is because of the leadership thing. Is if you look at the guys who kind of run the website, and this is what I say, like, they're a little bit misanthropic. They don't seem to really like people too much. And so that sort of behavior maybe really built up the site into what it was, where everyone's kind of just very insensitive and they act like everyone else is stupid. It's all about trolling and making other people feel like, retarded for posting. And you get stuff like they had some kind of problem where people were posting Naruto on the anime board, and people think, I know Naruto is too mainstream, like don't post Naruto here. And so Moot came along and he started spamming the board with Naruto, using his admin power so people couldn't delete his stuff, and he was forcing them to, like, every time they logged in, they had a video about Naruto, and stuff like that. And that's that attitude very much, like people kind of, when you run the site, when you're the leader of the site, people do take that attitude. And so if you think about it, like the whole 4chan thing, like, oh, it's a piss ocean, like everyone there is rude and mean and whatnot. It's not like that everywhere you go on the internet. Like I've been on forums that are just very, very polite. And you tend to find that the people who are in charge, who are running the place, also very, very polite. Like they get on there, they talk to everyone, like new people come on, they're like, hello, it's good to meet you. And they're just respectful. Well, like they're kind, and so they get people who are kind in return because they want to emulate the leadership. It was one of those things when I started my website. I noticed that people were a little bit shy to post when I was posting at first, until they got used to the climate that we were in. And I was making these really long like essays and whatnot. And so for a while, when I was really active on the forums, everyone was kind of doing that. Like I would come on and post these essays, and then someone else would post an essay and rebuttal, and just essays everywhere. Like everyone wrote blocks of text, because that's just kind of like, if you run the site and you just start doing things a certain way, then that's kind of how it gets to. I've kind of gotten less involved with it now, and so people are sort of more, you see less of that now than you did starting out. But it's a good example, I think, of just the way that people kind of follow the lead of other people who've like been there for longer, who appear to have influence over the place or what have you. So that's a thing to think about in terms of leadership. But leadership is not the same thing as authority. that's the next thing to get into. Power and authority are two things that always get very much confused in a lot of people's minds. And I think it's because power is, sometimes it's a means to authority. Like, you think that we give a police officer a gun, right? But we don't give him that gun because we expect him to shoot, like, speeders or jaywalkers or litterers or anything like that. We expect them to use the gun in the direst of circumstances. And whenever they use the gun, they've got to justify why did you shoot this person? Why did you not, use a non-lethal method to apprehend this person? Most of the time, a good police officer, they talk to people, and they don't ask loaded questions. They don't say, did you do this crime, or did you do that? They just ask an open-ended question, what are you doing tonight, or what did you get this thing, or, what are you planning to do with this, or, just stuff like that, things that people would respond to in their own way and not be influenced by your suspicions. You find that tends to be how authority is usually managed, and the reason for that is because people kind of respond to it. Authority is something that people give you. If you have a large group of people, if you have 30 people, and there's one of you, and you manage 30 people, those people allow you to manage them. They allow you to manage them by consent. They call that the social contract. It's part of the theory of the social contract. These 30 people allow you to manage them. So you can't then just turn around and start insulting them and then waving it in their faces that you've got privileges that they don't have, because then you'll make them mad. And then they stop respecting you. And then they no longer respect your authority. And when you show up and you tell them what to do, they blow it off. They just blow it off. They blow it back in your face. They don't care that you think you're in charge, because you don't behave like you're in charge. You don't have the limitations that being in charge should really put on you. So that's the thing, is a gun is power, a weapon is power, but a weapon is not authority. And so the mods on 4chan, they have the ban hammer thing. You can show up and they could ban you. And that's fine. Suppose some people wouldn't bother to evade. I've been banned and never evaded. I was banned from TG for the longest time. I was banned for so long that I cannot even recall anymore exactly how long it was. I actually quit going to the site. And the only reason I got going back to it was kind of because of the pony phenomenon. Because, once my ban expired, TG had changed so much. It had gotten to be so sterile in comparison to how it used to be that I kind of just, I kind of didn't have interest in TG anymore. The artists were sort of all gone. And the writers, the writing stuff is not even really a thing anymore. I used to post fan fiction on TG all the time. And not any longer, really. All the creative stuff is kind of gone. Because, of course, everyone got banned. Like I said, you get a guy, I had no real name. I was just doing everything anonymously, but, I was banned for years. Not years, but for maybe, it might have been a year. Because, like I say, it seems so long. It was one of those things where I got banned, and then by the time I ever got to go on 4chan again, I had moved to a new house. I'd moved to a house. I was, in a completely new area before I could log on to 4chan again. So sometimes I think, I don't know, maybe it was so long, maybe my ban didn't even expire. Or maybe it did. I couldn't tell you. Whatever, if I ban evaded, I didn't do it intentionally. But here's the kicker. I don't remember what I got banned for, and I think it was something stupid and trivial, like questioning the mods, or something dumb. Everyone was getting banned, and I think I said something negative about it, and then just got banned from the website for, this extreme amount of time. And again, I forget what I said, and I forget what I did, and the punishment was so long and so severe that all I really remember now is the punishment. So, that was just an abuse of power. There was no authority present in that. I didn't come away from that feeling I made a mistake, and that it was righted, and that things are all better now. It was something I just got banned, and they sterilized the board by doing stuff like that. That's not authority. That's just power. And so you wonder why a lot of the users on 4chan, though, they go on the Q board to complain, and they say, I hate this, I hate the way that's run, I hate this, and I hate that. And whenever the moderators show up, and they're like, you guys have to do this, and you guys have to do that, nobody wants to listen to those guys, because you get guys like myself who remember, I remember when I was banned for, a year for some trivial thing. And then what happened is when they got these leaks, people started to find out who the mods and janitors were. They found out that they were people with trip codes, regular posters, or they had Facebook accounts, and so they were finding them. And once they could put faces to these moderators, suddenly they were like jerks that you could recognize, that you could actually be angry at. And what was really terrible was that was apparently what Moot didn't want, is he didn't want you to have a face to this horrible, nameless, like, power abuse. He just kind of wanted you to, it just wanted to be like abuse from on high, because I guess they find it funny that way. But yeah, it's not really a good way. As long as they're fine with not being respected, then that's fine. They can run the website however they want. But truthfully, if they want people to actually pay attention to what they want and to do things that they want and to cooperate with them and to follow the rules, then they have to actually be respectful. And they've probably got to drop the whole curtain between us and them. The Wizard of Oz thing is not going to go over well. People are not really, that many people against that few of moderators, they're not really going to live in fear of the moderation stuff. Especially those of you, like those people who know how to evade bans and whatnot. Those people, like, just don't care. Like, you ban them and then they just come back later. Some of them just do it just to irritate the mods. And that was another one too, was the ponies. I think I've told this story a couple times. The only reason I got into ponies was because the mods were making such a big fit about it. And that's another thing, like, don't make big fits about stuff if you don't want people to be talking about it. Because especially if they hate authority, if they hate the power abusing guys in charge, and then the power abusing guys in charge get up and they say, like, everyone stop doing this and everyone stop doing that, you're bound for a situation where everyone starts doing the thing that you're trying to stop. So there we go. I feel like that's probably, like I said, I feel like that's probably one of the biggest problems with 4chan anymore, is that they've gotten very much wrapped up in their moderation, and they don't seem to really have a clear grasp on how they want to actually achieve moderation. They're just using a lot of power, but not with any kind of finesse or accuracy. And I don't know that they ever will start doing it correctly, but I don't know. It's not my website, so yes. But anyway, I hope that was kind of enlightening. I mean, I don't know. Maybe you would disagree, but a lot of people investigate power, the concept of power, politics in different ways. I just have to say, one more thing. I don't like when people misinterpret Machiavelli when they say things like, it's better to be feared if you can't be loved. What that was, it wasn't condoning the assumption that you can rule by fear. Because the other thing that Machiavelli says is that you should never make too many enemies, because then your head's going to be on the chopping block very swiftly. Just be aware of that stuff like that, where like ruling by fear, that's kind of like a substitute for, that's like being unpredictable. Like, if you're unpredictable, people never know what you're going to do, but you'll always be very firm about whatever you do. That's kind of frightening, but in those cases you also have to be very fair, so that people feel like everyone is getting what they deserve. It's scary, so they won't mess with you, but they feel like, you know, if they let you be, then you'll let them be. People can live with that. If you're actually antagonizing other people and trying to inflict fear very actively, it's a strong sign of insecurity. And it's weakness. People will start to plot against you with that kind of thing. So yes, that's it for today. So I suppose I will catch you guys next time.